first Group 1. He won on Grand Archway in the 1998 Oaks as a 17-year-old. That's a lifetime ago. And now, possibly the McKinnon beckoning for this horse.
He rode her very confidently. Look, I wasn't sure how good she was in terms of what she'd been beating, but she showed yesterday how good she is. I thought this was one of the most exhilarating performances on the day, just from where she came from. Corey rode her with a lot of confidence.
I love when you see jockeys back themselves and back the horse's ability just to ride it so confidently. Like he settled back in the field. I thought he'd be too far back, and I also queried what she'd been beating over in New Zealand, but Opie just showed how good she was. Like, she picked him up really, really easily.
I think they were delighted, obviously, when the rain came, but it mightn't have mattered on it. She's proven on good tracks as well.
There was just enough tempo for her to be able to run on. Like, they've gone reasonably quick out in front, and the horse on the outside, they're putting the pressure on a long way out. Meant that, you know, some of the leaders started to come back to the field, but her turn of foot was just exceptional.
She is something special. Melody Bell dominating in the Empire Rose.
Kahuna brought towards the middle from Princess Jenny. Melody Bell's one of the widest. Aristia drives up on the inside and takes the lead at the 300 metres from Miss Siska. Then Spanish Reef, and now Melody Bell is flying home. Aristia at the 150. Here comes the Kiwi star. Melody Bell up to Aristia. Melody Bell takes Aristia. What a body mare, a mighty mare. Melody Bell has won it by a length and a quarter. Aristia, third Spanish.
High praise indeed when you're referring as a race caller to a horse as a bonny mare, and she's exactly that.
Like, she's an absolute superstar. You can only beat what you get in front of her.
Left-handed or right-handed,
yeah.
1,400 metres up to 2,000. She can settle forward if she draws well, but most of her wins are when she's midfield, 2-3 wide with cover, and her turn of foot late is exceptional, and she did yesterday what she's been doing in New Zealand, just repeated it.
I think what Jamie said after the race as well, in terms of you can only beat what you put up against as well. So, I mean, that's the key, because we'd seen horses she had been beaten come over and not do a great deal, so it's always hard to line up.
I think the way I see it, if you run this race 5, 6, 7, 8 times, she probably wins every time. Because she was just that much better than them. It was hard to make ground in the conditions. Yes, they ran along at a clip that allowed her to be able to do that, and the likes of Aristia up on speed were sort of grinding to the line in the conditions, but she just had panels on them. And I was so impressed with Melody Bell yesterday. The decision, of course, has been made that she will back up in the McKinnon Stakes 2,000 metres next Saturday if she comes through yesterday's win in good order. Aristia is another one who will see race next Saturday, but Simon Zara said we'll be going to wherever Melody Bell doesn't go, because the other option for her is the matriarch, of course, for the mares. So we'll see Aristia go in that direction, as to Spanish Reef, but I think the one we all want to follow, Melody Bell. She's got form, of course. She's won Group 1s over 2,000 metres back in New Zealand. It'll pose another test for her, though, back on top of the ground and out in distance, but from what we saw yesterday...
She's just as good on top of the ground. She's one of these versatile horses.
Absolutely.
Who's got an exceptional
the other thing is
that
a few of the others will be a lot better on top of the ground, where they didn't handle it yesterday. She got through it really well, so it'd be interesting.
But if she had drawn inside 5 or 6 yesterday, she would have sat 4th or 5th in the run and would have beaten them by 5 or 6 lengths.
Fair call.
She jumped positively from barrier 13, then they kicked up on the inside, so Opie just had to go back and find a position where he wasn't caught wide and posted. But if she settles in the first 3 or 4, she's going to be mighty hard to beat in the McKinnon.
So, super result for Jamie Richards and Opie Bosson. Flashing lights out of it, Simo, Melody Bell and Obvious. But Aristia, I've been waiting for this horse to get to the matriarch, and potential better the carnival type stuff, depending on what the conditions are like next Saturday.
She loves Flemington. She loves this time of year, and on firm ground, I think she'd be exceptionally well placed in that race.